And I said last week and after that Georgia Tech game, like, yeah, you lost to Georgia Tech by 3, but they really had a great game plan. They stuck to it. They played physical. They're a lot better than people thought. All these things. You can't say any of those things this week. It was just really bad coaching, bad playing, bad everything. The special teams basically carried that team in the first half, and then you get in the second half, and you go for it on your own 45 when it's still a one possession game. Like, you finally started pinning these guys, getting a stop, moving the ball on offense. And for whatever reason, it's not like it was an easy fourth down. It's not like I'm for it. The 4th and 1, quarterback sneak, even 4th and 2. But you make that choice, and that pretty much, that put you down 2 scores, and that pretty much ended the game there at that point. Really, really disappointed in that. DJU was the big target early on, especially on social media and things of that nature. And you can admit being wrong, all these things. He ended up finishing the game close, I think, to what his career completion percentage is. But that first half, going into the first half of the second half, like, that was bad. That was to the point where the crowd's cheering for Brock Glenn, booing DJU, all these things, and can't blame them in the stadium. I'm sitting there at home thinking, like, okay, at this point, playoffs are out the window. You can't get anything going. Like, what's the point of leaving DJU out there? Like, at some point, you've got to look forward to start building for the future, find something to give a spark. And as soon as, like, that really crept up into my consciousness, DJU started playing better. All of a sudden, in the second half, I can't remember the time. It's really all a blur. But there in the third quarter, after the inexplicable turnover, going for it on that 4th down, when it looked like we might have a chance to come back in this game, the wide receivers just wouldn't catch it. Kyle Morlock drops 2 giant conversion plays on back-to-back drive killers. Other guys do the same thing. Jalen Brown made a few plays. There were some bright spots. Kentron Portier finally went to him. I mean, every time they threw it over Kentron Portier's way, he was making plays. So that was the bright spot if you want to find one. But Jeff Hill, $10 donation, says, I don't really have the words how disgusted I feel right now. I didn't see the start of the season coming 0-2. Yeah, I don't think anybody did. Nobody saw 0-2. I guess some people did after last week. But you'll have to excuse me. I usually have the kind of red that I try to get close to a shade of garnet behind me for the show. I couldn't go with the turquoise either because that's Seminole Warriors. I didn't want to disparage them. So I went with the softest kind of lavender or purple. The LEDs don't do too good with the pink, mine anyway. So that's what the backdrop is for. Soft. This defensive line, they are not that good. They are not that good. I'll tell you what. It's really tough. It's really tough. I'm going to tell you right now, this is one of the hardest things I'll ever do. I literally had this thing paused. I was talking. Gave a 7-minute monologue with this thing not even live for you guys. So this is the second time through. It's like, oh man, it's tough. Comments like, this team has 0 fight or leaders. Noel's got no heart. Sorry, man, no leadership. Yeah, all those things are fair points. You don't have Alex Atkins out there. Or they take this dip out. That's an issue. But the offensive line played okay at points. Georgia Tech started cramping there in the second half again. The offense started to move, but they can't finish. They just could not finish anything. There's so many microcosms of the game I could give you. There was a penalty on Byron Turner, an unnecessary roughness that was completely pointless. There's no call for it. I can't remember if it was special teams. I can't remember the play. But I'm texting a former player on the team, my guy Freddie, and just talking about what's going on. And I'm like, that's a microcosm of what's going on there. They've got to start. They can't win for beating themselves. And then at the very end of the game, when Florida State has a chance to get back into it, you got a little momentum going. Who is the defensive player that does it again? They have another big time, or it was an offensive lineman in this case. Terrence Ferguson. 4th and 5, you got a chance to go down here and score with plenty time to score and make something happen. Have a chance. And bam, 4th and 20, you've got to punt it. And now you're punting it at a point in the time in the game where you can't. I mean, you have one chance. I applaud Mike Norvell's time management this game. I thought he made an improvement there. I think the main thing was like get DJU in a rhythm. And I kind of respect it now looking back, even though the calls were Brock and all those things. Like he was going to stick with DJU. They were going to force you to pass. He was going to get him in a rhythm, but it just never happened. DJU was completely off target when he had guys wide open. And I don't know if the guys lost confidence in themselves or what. Kyle Morlock, I mean, man, brother. Kyle Pickett says, show me 4 games FSU wins this season. I'll wait. Buddy, it's hard right now. That team out there playing like it played, no, there's not 4 games on the schedule. Now I can spin a yarn and tell you guys a way that we could get there and get back to the, oh, it's not so bad. We still got an 8 or 9 win team out there, but this is a mental thing. This is right back to I'm really trying not to go hyperbole like right after the game. And I will say I believe in this program. I believe in Mike Norvell and like his future. I believe like he fucked up. Excuse my language. I know we're not supposed to curse on here like that, but like he messed up. He was wrong about this team. They lost way too many leaders, way too many guys to the NFL. Some like it's us against the world and getting hunkered down to a certain extent. They paid for that because they were just wrong. The defense, it's like sometimes you have a draft class where you lose a bunch of guys off the offense, but you bring a lot of your defensive guys back, or vice versa. We all underestimated losing so many leaders on the offense and the defensive side. And, recruiting is a hot and cold button topic. We've talked a lot about it. I've defended Florida State on a lot of things, but one area that has been a problem forever has been linebacker. Like since Norvell had got here, linebacker recruiting has not been it. We haven't got the guys out of high school, and we haven't got them out of the portal. We got the one dude, Tatum Bethune, and we had Kalen DeLoach left from the Willie Taggart years. And those 2 guys carried you to 2 really good years. 10 wins his first year with Tatum Bethune. And you saw what this defense was last year with Tatum Bethune and Kalen DeLoach going to in the second year. The addition of Braden Fisk along with Jared Verse and all those names. These guys, it doesn't seem like there's not one of those guys out there that's willing that can take this team under its wing and just kind of calm everybody down. It's tough. I feel bad for Maurice Smith. I'll have to go back and look at the tape. I think he's one of the bright spots. He had one penalty that killed us in a spot, and it's like you feel for a disciplined player who's doing what he's supposed to do because there's not room for anybody to have any kind of lapse. And that's what happens when you've got things going on like what happened in that first half. Like when people are just making stupid penalties everywhere, then you get one little run-of-the-mill penalty that's just going to happen, nobody's fault. Well, it's over with. You've already had 10 that should have never happened. Guys, if you have any questions, because I'm telling you, I've been doing this a couple of years. This is my 2nd year doing the post-game show. It was a little different last year. We only had the 1 loss after Georgia. I know I'm going back and forth, but keep your comments coming, your super chats. We really appreciate it. Make sure you're subscribed right here at the Voice of College Football. This is actually the FSU Voice of College Football. I believe he's trying to get to 5,000 subs. You can subscribe to my channel if you want to hear more about this terrible football team at the Renegade Report right here on YouTube as well. We're trying to get 3,000 subs. But yeah, here's where we'll go. This offense, I've talked a lot about the offense. And we'll talk about it more later, probably. We got a lot of time to fill here. We got to do an hour. But the offense, as bad as things were with DJU, you saw some light at the end of the tunnel. You saw where possibly if you brought in Brock Glenn, if you decide to make a youth movement, you see some things there that could happen on offense at some point. The issue with the problems that you have on defense, even though they played a little bit better at the end of the game, Like, how much of them playing better was just the fact that all of a sudden offense, Boston College was cramping. Like, you know, how was it just they were tired? Was it Boston College was up? Did they just not have any respect? They were kind of the team being able to just not worry about it. Oh, they're not going to complete the pass. They're not going to make it happen. So you saw Trayshawn Ward drop one early on a wheel route. That never happened again. Trayshawn Ward kicked our ass. Boy, could we use Trayshawn Ward and Marcuston Douglas right about now. That Marcuston, I've talked a lot about how Florida State hasn't had a lot of portal losses. Now, this Trayshawn Ward one sucks, but at the end of the day, he transferred again. You had Trey Benson get drafted early, like you looked good. Like hard to hold that one. But no, the Marcuston one was obviously a huge loss. Marcuston would have made some big plays in this game, and maybe he'd have been that calming presence on offense. Steven says D line overrated. Unfortunately, yeah, big, 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 big time. They can make plays, they can move it from time to time, but when push comes to shove, no. The offensive lines we played the past 2 weeks have moved that defensive line. They have moved them. I thought Byron Turner was a bit of a bright spot, somebody who played pretty well in week 1, but he's out here making boneheaded plays. Marvin Jones, I'll have to go back and watch it. Looked like looked like everybody on the defense did a better job kind of setting the edge and turning things inside again. But once they started setting the edge and turning things inside, it was the quarterback, wide open down the middle. And they did. They got some stops there in the second half. They really did. They got some stops, and DJU made some damn throws. But again, Morlock, 2 drive enders. I think Toafili had another drive ender. A ton of them. I thought the wide receivers, I'll have to go back and look and grade them. But again, they got open some from time to time, but they were not catching the ball. I know the FSU media is idiots and everything is a popular narrative, but dude, it's not just the FSU media. Like, and I'll take full responsibility. I was wrong. I was wrong. But so was a lot of other people. Mike Norvell gets paid a lot of money to know what's going on with that team. So do all those different coaches. So changes need to happen. I think as much as you can go youth, I think Cam Davis needs to get a lot more touches. I think his priority on where you have Roydell Williams getting touches next to Cam, I think that slides way back down to Cam. I like the physicality I saw Cam run. The one pretty good run he got that was 3 or 4 yards on just a regular in the course of the game. He pushed the first guy off of him, and the next guy was a linebacker. I think he made him eat it. Like, if he wasn't wearing a helmet, that dude would have ate his freaking teeth. So I want to see Cam get more. Man, this shit's reminiscent of when Cam Akers showed up. And it's like, oh gosh, Dalvin Cook is gone, Jimbo Fisher's leaving, all these things, and man, Cam Akers, that first year he couldn't hardly keep his feet up underneath him, but you saw the want to. You saw the thing that was missing from the rest of the team in him. So we were kind of hard on them for giving Cam a chance early in that Georgia Tech game, putting him on a bad spot. But Kyle Pickett, man, he's been at the Renegade Report. He'll just slink in there and throw down a couple $100. I see him dropping guap over at Spear Addicts and Den Media Group. We appreciate you, bro. Kyle Pickett with the $110 super chat. Let's go, Kyle Pickett. Here's 5 times our rushing yards, which is pathetic. Wow, he really set that joke up good with the $110 super chat. 5 times our rushing total. Do I even want to do that math? 22? We had 22 yards, Kyle. I haven't even looked at the box score. I want to torture myself. We had 22 yards. Yeah, we abandoned the run pretty quick, guys. That's another one. I'll have to go look at the clock. I know. Here's the thing: their defense was selling out, daring you to pass, and they had to pass. And again, like I spoke on it earlier, it's like Mike Norvell was like, "Look, whatever this fucking, excuse my language again, Mark, I'm gonna have to pay for the tip jar. We're bringing in super chats, so maybe we'll just take some of those off of my cut." But my goodness, it was bad. It was bad, guys. It was really, really bad. I don't know about firing everybody, Alan, but soul searching. There's some guys that are going to have to go off the staff. There's some guys that are going to have to get pushed to the back of the depth chart, things of that nature. You really feel for the DB group. I don't know. Do you feel for the DB group? Um, they're just out there like, damn, we're never going to get a chance to play our game. They're gonna have to play like linebackers all year, and it's tough. They're getting put in some spots. I think you can put. I forget what the play was. Maybe it was the first half. Shaheem Brown and the other safety. I don't know where Conrad Hussey was on the play. Somebody had bowled him over, but poor tackling. There was a couple times when that cost us, but at the end of the day, man, it all comes down to defensive line and linebackers. Your defensive line is getting pushed back. Your linebackers are getting swallowed up. DJ Lundy was flying around. He's giving a ton of effort. Like I said, Blake gave a hell of an effort out there, but yeah, you can't. They play well down to down. Like they would get like most teams 3rd and 4 to 3rd and 7. If you get the opposing offense to that, like that's par for the course. That's good. Like anything more than 3rd and 2 and 3rd and 3, that's a good chance for your defense to get off the field, especially 3rd and 7. But for Boston College, that shit was automatic all all night till they got tired and started cramping up there at the end of the game, and we still couldn't cash in. But as far as you know, I don't want to keep going back to DJU, but that drive in the red zone where you had 3 wide open touchdown plays called up by Mike. I don't think the mental side of this doesn't get talked about enough in this game. I've always talked a lot about that, how the best teams are mentally tough. You can see it to where, like, no matter how much talent you have, like the 2024 team, 2014 team, that team won those games, one score games, like, because they were mentally tough. They weren't necessarily disciplined, but they were mentally tough. This team, some of those Willie teams, the 2020 team, like they're going to find a way to lose that game. And that's where these guys are. They can't handle like success. If they have a little bit of success, and then something bad happens, like it's tough. The penalties again. I'll go back to Byron Turner and TJ Ferguson. The penalties, like there's just so many opportunities to get into the game. DJ, you gotta go 0-2. Let's rock with Brock. Look, I would be if we had won this game, I'd have had a really easy argument to tell you no. Had we even lost it close, I'd be still ready to be like, all right, you brought in a guy, you banked the season on him, you brought in a senior transfer quarterback, both your quarterbacks, one's a redshirt freshman, the one's a true freshman. But at this point, Mike Norvell, he's got a lot of soul searching to do. You got a bye week. Because at the end of the day, people tried to warn me. I looked at it. I looked at the stats. I watched a ton of tape at DJU. I never saw it look that bad as it did. But again, I want to go back and look at the film because, like, a lot of this started, like, I may not have seen it but I may not, like, Lawrence Toafili is usually Mr. Reliable. Lawrence Toafili doesn't drop passes out of the backfield. I can't remember how many, but a couple major drops. Like Lawrence Toafili just completely left you hanging, like in what he is supposed to do on 3rd downs. Like it's a team effort here, guys. I don't want to harp on DJU because he deserves it, and you really have to consider going with Brock. It's really confusing the reports we got back from practice. I'm not fortunate enough to be at every practice, but I do have some pretty good connections to people that are there, and we all have all the materials from the different people that are there, as far as the different sites and things of that nature. Talking to different players that get to go, several different players that get to go. Like these guys looked all right in practice. It's the intangibles, like it's just not there. It's one of those things. It was like that for a long time. You had it in 2022 or in 2020, halfway through 2021. They got it turned around, but I said we weren't going back to that, guys. We are back to that. This thing is broken as far as mentally. Like I see people online talking about, it's like these guys don't work out and stuff. I think that's a bit of hyperbole. Like you saw Boston College wearing out. Florida State was good to go. The defensive line doesn't suck because they're gassed. Their defensive line was bad from snap one. And I don't know how much of that is Adam Fuller and Odell Haggins and whatever they're doing, if it's because the linebackers. I thought I saw Blake look a lot better at linebacker. I thought our linebacker play was a lot better this game. I have to go back and look. Um, but I mean, when your defense is this bad, you can't just put them right back out there on the field. So that's the thing. It was just the absolutely worst complimentary football you'll ever see. Like it just keep chalking says 10 plus drops. I wouldn't doubt it. And I mean, if you're DJU, that's what you're pointing at, 10 plus drops. But I'll have to go look because a lot of those balls, it's like, was that an error or a base hit in baseball? His touch was, it got there a little bit at the end, but he was rifling it when he needed to be tossing it and tossing it when he needed to be rifling it. And it was tough, 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 tough. It was tough. Um, The first half was a lot like last week. Limited possessions, but Florida State still using their athleticism to make some plays. You get the 2 field goals, 1 possession game. Second half did not go like last week. Second half, I mean, frustrations were shown on the coaching staff, from the players. It's just a shame nobody could ever get it going at the same time again. You saw some hope. You saw some good things for Portier. You saw DJU hitting Kyle Morlock. I thought DJU could have showed a little bit of emotion, maybe started talking a little crap out there after he started hitting guys in the hands and they were dropping it. But it's like, how do you quantify it? How do you quantify the drops and what will have happened? Like I don't. Championship teams don't make those mistakes. Marcus and Douglas didn't make those kind of drops. Lawrence Toafili, like that's the craziest thing. Like here's a guy who's been at Florida State through all the good times and been a clutch performer. Is he pissed off they haven't put him back there at Wildcat? I'd like to see that brought back because at this point in time, it does not, whatever it can take to make a drive. And if teams are stacking the box against DJU and you can't throw it past him, I've seen those Trayshawn Moore drives. I've seen what he did in the ACC championship. Maybe it's time to work that into the playbook more. But I don't know. Everybody on the team, it looks like their confidence is just completely shaken. Confidence is just shaken.